Hello everyone, my name is Ximena Jimenez, and today I'm gonna talk about the user experience design research I did for the Westpac app. I'm gonna start talking about the project, which is divided in 10 sections, and through the presentation, I'm gonna start talking more in detail about each section. Let's begin talking about Westpac. Westpac was created in 1817 and is Australia's first bank and oldest company. The services that Westpac offers are mortgages, credit cards, personal loans, and savings to deposit products. And it is very important to mention that in March 2021, there was an app rollout for iPhone customers. In the step number 2, my hunch is that when the user wants to do a payment to a new payer, it is necessary to save these new payer details. And this makes the process way too long, especially if it is a one-time transaction. As part of the desktop research, we ran a landscape review to look to other popular banking apps in Australia. We also did a research on the current user perception, so we checked on Apple Store where the app had 4.2 out of 5 in rating, and in Google Store where it got 3.8 out of 5. And this bad rating was because since the latest update, the users felt like the app had changed a lot and they were not familiar with the interface and how to use it. The next step is the user personas, that are characters which, based on our research, represent the different types of users we have. Once we understand better who our users are, we start defining the problem. And for this, we use the System Usability Scale questionnaire, where we ask 10 users to fill this questionnaire to complete a payment process to new payee. We will consider the score as an indicator for the usability of the app with respect to the user flow we are studying. If the average usability score is below 68, this will support the hunch. We will also consider the distribution of results to minimize the impact of outliers on our research. These are the results of the questionnaire, and we had very interesting findings. To start, the usability average score was 66, which is below the average. In figure 1, we can see that the customers are the most dissatisfied with the complexity of the app and the consistency of the app as well. The perception of the app as easy to use has the third lowest average adjusted score. In the figure 2, we can see that most of the users agree that the app has a problem with the ease of use. In the figure 2, the quartile distribution, the lower and upper lines show us the range of value for the lower and upper quartile, 25% of results. And the fig block shows us the middle 50% of users, which will most closely resemble the attitude of the typical user. In figure 2, it's also demonstrate that the users agree that the product ease of use could be improved. Finally, based on these design laws and heuristics, we have proof that the usability in the Westpac app in the user flow payment process to new payee, it is difficult and confusing for our users. According to our research, users believe that they can operate the banking app without technical assistance. However, there was a new app update released in late March, and the users felt like everything changed for bad since that update. This is reflected in the results of the SUS questionnaire. The users feel that the payment option is confusing, and our aim is to improve the payment process to new payee and make it easy and intuitive to use. As part of our research approach, we plan a face-to-face interview with 5 users between the age 21 and 30, and we make questions to understand better their lifestyle. And also it was very important to do a usability test where they had to do a payment to a new payee. The next step was to organize the insights that we find on the interviews. We find out that for the users, security is very important. They use the app the most for payment transactions and money transfers, and they prefer to use the banking app rather than go into the website of the bank. And they also struggle with doing a payment to new payee. They prefer not to save the details of this person if they won't see them again. They struggle with a big list of contacts of people they won't see again, and this is frustrating and problematic when they want to find the contacts that are really important for them. Another important detail is that sometimes they confuse into the transaction buttons, and they recommend that it will be good to have icons and descriptions for these icons. The next step is my favorite one, is the ideation, where we start sketching using techniques such as crazy eights and storyboard. After doing sketches, we're gonna go through prioritization, where we are gonna start to take design decisions in terms of impact and effort. Once our priorities are clear, we start with the paper prototyping. The next exciting step is the low fidelity prototype. The low fidelity prototype doesn't have much of user interface design, it's more to understand better the structure, and it's gonna be very useful to try it with our users and see how they interact with it. For this, we ran a usability testing where 5 users gave us their opinion in what they found good, what they found bad, and if they had any ideas or feedback we can integrate. With the usability testing, we find out that it was very important to add a Pay ID button in the transaction section because this was highly used. Also, we were very happy to see that the users recognized the home screen design from the Westpac. They were very familiarized with it. And another achievement is that we reduced the number of steps that need to be taken to do a payment to a new payee, making it very easy, faster, and intuitive. The next steps we recommend is to work on a high fidelity prototype and test it with users from different ages. It will be quite interesting to see users that are between their 40s and 50s, how they interact with this new design. Uh, it's also important to mention that we have a very interesting finding when it comes to the Face ID technology, because most of our users consider security very important and they find it annoying to had to put their face mask down when they were doing their Face ID, and they suggested that there should be a new technology that where you can do the Face ID without taking your mask down. Overall, this was a very exciting project, and yeah, thank you very much.